When you think of the Morrígan from Irish mythology, your mind probably jumps straight to a bloody battlefield, right? A goddess of war. But honestly, that's barely scratching the surface. Today, we're going to dive deep into who she really is.
So is she just the bringer of death in battle, or is there something way more profound going on here? A force that's actually woven into the fabric of power, sovereignty, and even the human mind itself. Let's get into it.
Okay, so the first thing you absolutely have to get is that the Morrigan isn't just one person. She's what we call a three-in-one divinity. It's a single title, but it belongs to three sisters, the daughters of the mother goddess Ernmas, and they can act on their own or merge into one single, kind of terrifying being.
So how do we even begin to understand her? Well, the key, the real secret, is in what the source material calls the two shadows. And this isn't just some poetic phrase. It's a duality that actually comes from the way the Old Irish language changed over time.
And this right here, this comparison, really lays it all out. On one side, you have the word mori, which means phantom. We're talking psychological terror. And on the other, mor, which means greatness, the physical power of a king's rule. These two ideas, they're the absolute core of who she is.
All right, let's dive into that first shadow. This version of the Morrigan, the Phantom Queen, she springs from that old Irish root word mor. And this is crucial. This isn't about physical combat. This is all about the war inside your head.
Yeah, you heard that right. Morat literally means phantom or nightmare. That makes her the Nightmare Queen. She's not coming at you with a sword here. She's wielding fear itself. She's that ancient spirit that just kind of haunts your subconscious, the one that rides on the last breath of the dying.
And this quote, wow, it just paints such a vivid picture, doesn't it? Imagine that feeling, a crushing weight of pure dread in the middle of the night that just shatters a warrior's confidence. That's her. She turns a hero's heart to milk, making them useless before they even step onto the battlefield.
So you see, her methods are pure psychological warfare. She gets inside your soul, a master of the unseen. And this terror, it often shows up through her sister Nemain, whose presence is described as pure venom that gets injected right into the minds of soldiers.
But that's only half the story. As the Irish language itself started to shift, so did the Morrigan's entire role. The meaning of her name changed, and suddenly a completely new side of her power comes into the light.
See, the word went from more to more. And that little accent mark, it changes everything. It now means great. So all of a sudden, she's not just a nightmare anymore. She becomes the Great Queen, a figure tied directly to the physical world, to kings, to land, to power.
And in this form, the Morrigan literally is the land. She's the personification of its raw, brutal demands. She becomes the ultimate decider of who is actually worthy of ruling, who gets to claim sovereignty over the earth itself.
So her domain is now physical dominion. She's not just in one soldier's head anymore, she's governing the fate of entire nations. And this kind of power, it demands a bloody price. We often see this side of her through her sister Macha, who is famous for collecting the heads of the slain as a tribute. What's so cool is how these two shadows actually appear in the myths. There's this fantastic story set at a river crossing, the Ford of Unshin, that shows how her form literally changes depending on who's looking at her and what their destiny is. So, let's set the scene. You've got this young, cocky warrior walking toward the river. He's full of himself, probably dreaming about all the glory he's going to win. He has absolutely no idea what's waiting for him. But when he gets to the water's edge, he doesn't see some glorious goddess of victory. No, he sees a withered old woman, a crone. This terrifying figure, it's a direct reflection of his own fate. He is looking right at the quote-unquote Phantom Queen. And the sight just shatters him. His courage completely disappears. That's the psychological frenzy of the third sister, Bab, doing its work. The crone is an omen of his death, a sign that he's about to go from a proud warrior to just another body on the pile. Okay, but now let's completely flip the script. Imagine a high king walks up to that exact same spot. He isn't looking for personal glory. He's there for the divine right to rule, for a blessing to secure his entire kingdom. And what does he see? Not a crone. He sees a majestic, powerful woman, radiating authority. She is the literal embodiment of greatness. He is looking at the Great Queen.
You see, for the king, this isn't a psychological nightmare. It's a political reality. She is the land, and her blessing is the force that grounds his rule and validates his claim to sovereignty. Same goddess, same place, two completely different forms depending on your destiny.
So here's where it all comes together. The two shadows, the Phantom and the Great Queen, they aren't separate entities. They are two faces of the exact same incredibly complex power. The myths talk about this flicker at twilight, this moment where the individual forms of the three sisters, Bad, Maka, and Nemain, just kind of dissolve like mist and collapse back into one single shadow. It's a reminder that they are and always have been one.
And that's her core identity, right? The three-in-one divinity. Bab's chaotic frenzy, Matcha's demand for a physical price, and Nemain's mental venom, they're all just different ways the Morrigan expresses her singular, immense power.
I think this quote just nails it. The psychological terror of the Phantom Queen and the political power of the Great Queen aren't opposites at all. They're just two sides of the very same coin of sovereignty, a coin she flips on the battlefield to decide fates. At the end of the day, she is the weaver of three strands, the cosmic force that makes sure the balance of life, death, and rule is always maintained. She's a constant reminder that all power, whether it's over yourself or an entire nation, always has a cost. And that leaves us with a pretty timeless question, doesn't it? What is the true price of power?